The Richard Dawkins in 1976, when you were studying genetics and publishing The Selfish Gene, did you ever think that you would be having discussions about religion and you would write a book called The God Delusion? Or was this always going to be a collision course?
Well, I never thought of it as a collision course, but there is a certain amount of, even in The Selfish Gene, there's a certain amount of anti-religion assumption there.
And when you wrote The God Delusion, what was the reaction, and how did that change your perception?
The reaction was, I suppose, predictably mixed. It's the best-selling book I've written. It sold even more copies than The Selfish Gene, although it's a newer book. They both sold several million copies, but The God Delusion more so. I think the reaction was what you might expect. There was very positive and very negative, depending upon who you talk to.
Right. And we've had Lawrence Krauss here, and you made a movie with him called The Unbelievers, where
yes,
you kind of toured the world. I think you were doing speaking events in various places. I think it ended up in Sydney. And I watched that when Lawrence was on the show 5 or 6 years ago, and it was just interesting to see you two engage with audiences and
yes,
speak openly and frankly with sometimes religious zealots and other people. And what's it like having those conversations or having those discussions? Does it get to a point where with some people there's no discussion to be had, or are most people willing to engage?
It's very variable. I mean, they're usually fairly amicable. I mean, we don't very seldom have kind of slanging matches. I've usually had rather friendly audiences. I suppose it's just the friendly ones come. I mean, I think perhaps the antis don't tend to turn up. I've had a fair number of interviews with devout people, but they've been friendly.
Okay.
But we tend to talk past each other, I suppose. It's quite hard. You never really manage to convince anybody. It's very, very seldom you manage to convince anybody to diametrically reverse their opinion about such a thing.
I'm having a flashback, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I thought I heard one time that maybe it was The God Delusion was one of the most widely translated books in like Arabic in countries that were very
well, that's true.
Religious.
Yes, it has been unofficially translated originally into Arabic as a downloadable PDF, not as a published book, but as a downloadable PDF. And I'm told it was downloaded 13 million times in Arabic, presumably secretly in many countries, because the penalty for apostasy is death.
Does that surprise you or not?
Very much so. Yes, I was delighted, of course. And that actually inspired my foundation in America, the Richard Dawkins Foundation for Reason and Science in America, to set up a thing called the Translation Project, where we did this much more professionally and paid professional translators and professional editors in the languages of Islam, in Arabic, Urdu, Farsi, and Indonesian, to translate not just The God Delusion, but several of my books into these languages, not as books, but as PDFs, to be downloaded free. So there's no charge, and so we don't get no royalties from these translations. The idea is to make these books available to people in the Islamic world, and that's going very well. And several of my books have now been translated and are available as downloadable PDFs in those 4 languages, and we're now branching out into translating some other books as well as mine.
What's it like having a conversation with, say, a devout Muslim versus maybe a devout Christian, or someone who's Orthodox Jewish? Like, do you find that you go down certain paths with each religion? They have different issues.
Pretty much the same, because they're all arguing. When they're arguing with me, they tend to be arguing against evolution,
okay.
and So they pick up each other's arguments, and it's mostly very unoriginal. I mean, they're stereotyped arguments that keep popping up again and again and again. They just don't understand. They're just too stupid to understand in many cases.
Okay. Or the brain blocks that out because it's such a part of the identity.
Yeah.
Right. Has anyone ever made anything that made you think twice when they argue with you?
No.
Never. And are you surprised, say, in the last 40 or 50 years?
I would love to think twice. It's what I'm paid. My whole life has been. As a scientist, you're supposed to think twice.
Right. Have you had to think twice in the last 25 years?
In science, yes, but not with respect to religion.
Okay, right. Or debates or anything.
No.
Or challenges in that sense.
Not in religion.
Are you surprised that the public hasn't evolved more in 40 years?
It has.
It has.
And yes, I mean, as I was saying, even in America. The number of people who profess a religion is going down and down and down, especially among young people, which is very encouraging.
But it's still a big part of politics there, which is always kind of fascinating.
Well, it is, and that's an astonishing anomaly because you think, I mean, the thing of it, 25% of the people don't believe in a religion. So that's a very large lobby.
Yeah.
And yet, and other lobbies which politicians constantly suck up to are far more powerful because traditionally politicians are supposed to worry about the Polish lobby and the Jewish lobby and things. But the non-religious lobby is never been a traditional. Part of the problem is that well, no, I'm not sure what the problem is.
But it is going down, it seems.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm always surprised when I see American politicians constantly talking religion and God, and I guess it is kind of baked into the Constitution and all of these issues, but
they think they won't be elected unless they say "God bless America" at the end of every speech. But I wonder whether they're right. I mean, maybe they've finally tumbled to the fact that actually there's a huge number of people, a huge minority, which may even become a majority, as it is in Britain.
Hey, do you want to profit from crypto? Then join my DeFi Academy. The Crypto DeFi Academy will help you create generational wealth. But don't take my word for it. Listen to my students.
When I first got into crypto, I remember thinking to myself, I need to learn more. Brian Rose, learning crypto, learning DeFi, gotta do it.
I am so grateful that I jumped in and did this. I had to break through some limiting beliefs that I can do this, that I can afford this, that I can be in this.
It challenges the things that are deeply rooted within us.
Joining DeFi Academy has been one of the best decisions I have made on my blockchain journey.
This course was a life changer, a game changer, a huge eye-opener, coming from knowing practically nothing at the speed of the learning over 4 weeks was just fantastic.
The information you provided in this class was invaluable.
I feel far more confident in my next steps.
You took complex concepts and made them easier to understand.
What's different than so many other ones is it just doesn't tell you what to do. It actually makes you do it.
This is for people who are serious about becoming traders. This is the way it should be done.
I realized from this learning experience again that it is not about what you learn, but about who you learn it from.
The energy was insane. I've never experienced such incredible energy on a live call. Brian Rose, you are a legend, my friend.
It's the only thing in the market where you can get all information and learn everything what you need to know.
Everything is so clear and so well done, and I'm just forever grateful for this program.
It made me feel so much more confident about crypto than I did before.
I did not anticipate how passionate I was going to become about it.
It's also been like a big learning experience for me, not just in the crypto space, but just in overall balance of life.
What I've learned is, how to take ownership, of my life in a way that I really hadn't before.
Yeah, you can't put a price on that, really.
I would recommend it to anybody, top notch.
Excellence does not come cheap. So if you want excellence, you gotta pay for it, but it's so worth it.
Pull the trigger. That's what this course is about.
You're not going to regret it, really. It's amazing.
Thank you, Brian and team.
So what are you waiting for? Crypto is happening now. Click the link below, submit your application, and let me mentor you on how to create generational wealth and build the decentralized financial infrastructure of the future.